Raise your hand if you want to be someone that people trust and are worth listening to. All right, that's all of us here. So whether you're a coach, whether you're a leader, you run a business, or you just want to be worth listening to, you already have something. It's called a personal brand. Whether you like it or not, your personal brand is the story that people tell about you when you're not in the room. You know how they say you shouldn't talk about people behind their backs? That's what that is. And so what it reflects is what you stand for. The cool thing about podcasting is it's one of the rare media on the planet that allows you to shape that story in a very intentional way. Most of what I think personal branding is discussed as today is in the attention economy, social media, websites, logos. It's broadcasting you out there and trying to sell yourself rather than the trust economy, which is this thing we need to do today where everybody's jaded and getting Black Friday deals and selling in their inbox, and no one has any trust in anyone today. You know, we've got scams, we've got all these other things, and trust usually happens in, we'll say, the real world, where someone is spending meaningful time with you, where they try to understand your mind, how you think, where they believe you can help them. They believe you can solve problems that they care about. And so again, I'm going to talk about how podcasting is a way to do that with potentially thousands of people. So the first way that podcasting helps build trust is the sheer amount of time that your voice is in their ear. I don't know how many of you listen to podcasts. I listen to them practically every day. And most people will give you 20, 30, 60, even 2 or 3 hours, depending on the podcast, of almost uninterrupted attention. 90% of engagement in some cases. Now you compare that to YouTube, which is about 10 to 20%, or social media, where it's 1 to 3 seconds. I don't know how to count, 1 to 3, and as little as a half a second before someone keeps scrolling. So when someone's willing to spend real time with your voice, here's what happens is they start to feel like they know you. They've heard all the quirks about you. For me, that's my dad jokes, my little bit of sarcasm, maybe some empathy thrown in, maybe some tough love. It's your honesty and your humor, and it's your nuance. And so over many, many episodes, which could be 10, 50, in my case, over 400 episodes, the listener feels like it's an ongoing conversation. Like you're just, you know, they feel the stress goes out. They know who you are. They know what to expect. And then if they do reach out as a fan or even a super fan, it's like you've been talking to them for months, and it's kind of shocking because you're trying to give that same energy back to them. And that's because time, like muscle, is the currency of longevity. I like to say time is the currency of trust. And again, podcasting gives you a lot more of that than almost anything else today. The second reason it gives you so much trust is that voice of yours, what we cultivate here in Toastmasters, that no one else has. No one else has your stories, your perspective, your worldview, which may be very strong, it may be very unique, very brash, very bold, doesn't matter. It carries the things that make you human from your brain to their brain. And we respond to human voice very differently than written words, and also to video. And so listeners hear, what do you care about? What are you passionate about? What are your values? You know, what's your personality? And now you create this bridge of connection like nothing else. So we've got time in their ears, creating lots and lots of connection. Very much what we try to do with our speeches in Toastmasters. The third way it does this is, now that you've got attention and connection, how are you going to make the most of that? Well, over time, you earn their repeated attention when you help them, when you solve a problem, or even when you solve the understanding of the problem. You become the person who knows your stuff, and you start to develop what we call a niche, if you want to be French about it, a niche, which is depth of expertise, where you've explained, you've clarified, maybe you've challenged. I love to bust myths all the time because it makes people shift their mind and say, I didn't know that, and that's why I'm stuck. You just helped me figure out why. And even if I haven't done anything about it yet, I'm motivated to. And then they listen to your next episode where you say, here's how to do it. One of the cool things I did last year that leveled up my podcast is I stopped talking about how to do everything and started talking about the why and my philosophy. Like, why is this so important to us as individuals? And then I'll give you the next step now that I've got even more trust regarding my grasp of the subject. So that level of clarity over time and consistency becomes authority, becomes expertise. You're not trying to sell through a brochure, you're selling through problem solving over time. And then the final way that podcasting builds trust, and this is kind of more of a meta skill in that you've got connection and you've got authority over time, gives you trust. You've got the trust, but now it creates new opportunities that are going to accelerate this whole process and bring you even more trust, because the listener feels connected to you. They believe you know what you're doing. And now you have people coming to you for help in terms of clients, if it's a business, or to collaborate with you. Some of my best collaborations have been with other podcasters who are complementary, like a hormone specialist or physical therapist or joint specialist. And now we can borrow each other's audiences. You get referrals, you get invitations to speak, you get things that you never saw coming. Like, I was invited to develop a fitness app, which I was able to do, and that wouldn't have happened without podcasting. So by the time someone reaches out, they know your voice, your thinking, your style, and they chose you. And so trust is this really strong magnet, and podcast leans into that. So if we zoom out, that is why podcasting is so amazing for personal branding. It gives people time with your voice. It creates connection because you're unique and are speaking to them. It builds authority because you're always solving their problems. And then you earn trust that leads to opportunity. And you're not just broadcasting at people, you're inviting them in. And then when they choose to stay, that just changes the game. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.